All right, 7.1 is adding and subtracting polynomials. When we add and subtract polynomials, it is just fancy combining like terms. So what we have here is we have that this polynomial is getting added to this polynomial. Or better, this binomial is getting added to this binomial. But all you really have to do, especially for addition, now subtraction requires a little bit more thinking, is combine the like terms. So you're going to have 8y minus 4y plus 2 plus 5. So the y's are just going to get added together, and the constants are just going to get added together. And so a binomial plus a binomial is going to give me a binomial. So 8 minus 4 is 4. So we have 4y. 2 plus 5 is 7. So we have plus 7. That's it. That's all you do. It's just combining like terms. The parentheses there are just to show you that you have two different binomials that you're going to add together. Same thing down here when we have a trinomial plus a trinomial. The parentheses are just showing you this is the first trinomial and you're adding it to this other trinomial. But then when you do the work, you're just going to add them together. So in the first one, I did a side-by-side method. You can also do an over-under method. So the over-under method says you just line up the x squared with the x squared, the x with the x, and the constant with the constant. And then whatever sign is in front of them, so like this one's positive, there's nothing there. This one's positive because it's a plus. This one's positive because it's a plus. So that's what you're going to do. So you're going to add these two together, add these two together, add these two together. So you work it in columns, kind of like how we did elimination on systems. I'm going to change this back to yellow so we can see it. Oh, except I didn't change it back to yellow. Okay. So you're adding together like terms. So negative 3 plus, remember this is a 1. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2x squared. 5 plus 4 is 9x. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. And you can use your calculator to add these coefficients or constants together. So a trinomial plus a trinomial gave me a trinomial. So that's what we wanted. When we do subtraction, we do have to be more careful. So for the side-by-side method, I would have 8y, and then we have minus, let me take that off. Minus, what is happening with my yellow? Negative 4. So this sign and this sign both have to be used. And then we have 2, which is plus because it has a plus, minus 5. So this 5 doesn't have a negative right here, so we're just going to use the minus. So the side-by-side method, what is happening, is a little bit trickier. So remember that minus a negative is a positive. So it's going to be 8 plus 4. So that there is no negative there if you do minus a negative. Minus a negative is a plus. Not plus negative, just plus. So 8 minus negative 4 or 8 plus 4 is 12y. And then 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So that will be minus 3. So I think the side-by-side method is a little bit trickier with subtraction, but the over-under method works great with subtraction. So I'm going to do that on this one. So you basically have to distribute, let me use a different color because we're getting a lot of purple on top of each other here. So you have to distribute this negative to each of these problems. And notice how, if you look over here, these binomials are the same as these binomials, but because this was minus and this was plus, you get two very different answers. Same thing here. This trinomial and this trinomial are the same as this trinomial and this trinomial, but because this is going to be minus, that's going to be very different than what we got when we added these right here. All right, so when I write this down, I'm going to take the negative with each one. So I'm going to have minus x squared, minus 4x, minus 3. They were all positive, but this minus makes them negative. Let's highlight it like I did that other one. I think that's a good thing to do. All right, so when I do these, remember this is -1 or -1. So -3 minus 1 is -4x squared. 5 minus 4 is +1x. -8 minus 3 is -11. So after you have combined all those like terms, you're done. Now, of course, you need to remember that you don't actually need the 1 for a coefficient in front of x. This is the answer that you need to start getting used to having. Okay, don't leave the 1 in your answer. All right, so I am actually going to leave the rest of these, and just like in our examples, they're the same, only one side's plus and one side's minus. The only one I want to point out is 3 and 4. Notice how we have a trinomial and a binomial. So I'm just going to point out, and I'll do number 4 since it's a subtraction, so you can see that again. So you just find which one is the same. So we've got 2x, so that needs to go with 4x. So I'm going to do minus 2x. But then we have minus -x squared. There is no x squared. It would be right here in between x to the third and x. So if you have something extra like that, put it where it should be. So think about that this would be minus negative or plus x squared, but don't actually add it to that x to the third. So that 9x to the third is going to come down here by itself. And plus x squared is going to be by itself. And then we can combine these like terms, which are the only like terms, because 5 right here doesn't have any like terms either. So sometimes that happens. So 4 minus 2 is positive 2x, and then you bring down your minus 5, and that's your answer. So it's a polynomial with degree 3 or cubic, which is what we talked about. So when you do number 3, you're going to have a similar thing happen because it has an x to the third and an x squared, which do not line up. So you cannot add them together. So be really careful about that, and we'll check these in class.